Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and once again, welcome to our second Q&A session for this semester. We started off last week with our discussion on economic statecraft as a foreign policy tool in PNG, and we will continue today before moving on to our next topic, which is the private sector's role in foreign policy making in PNG. So for this afternoon, Mr. Ako is once again here with us in the meeting room, and he will start the conversation. But before we go into a short summary or analysis of what he shared last week, I'll announce that we'll move the Q&A to after his presentation. So we'll have Q&A, or we'll follow the list that we have on Monday after Mr. Ako says something. So we'll give him this time to kickstart the conversation, and we can join in later. So Mr. Ako, please go ahead.
Thank you, good afternoon. Yeah, so we will be continuing our economic statecraft discussion, conversation from last Friday. And a lot has happened lately in terms of economic statecraft throughout the world. Some of it disguised very, very finely. Some are just put out in the open that it's a straight out take it or leave it carrot/stick. So yeah, so plenty. I only had some. I made up some questions. Please, we'll continue to refer to the previous presentation on economic statecraft. So I had some examples. Just to recap again, as we all know, by now. So by now, economic statecraft is the use of economic means in pursuit of foreign policy goals. So you have a donor or a couple of donors and the recipients. So as with foreign policy tools, economic statecraft can be used to make either threats or promises, meaning sticks or stones, and to either punish or reward. Also, success is often difficult to evaluate. For instance, I picked out one particular example, and that's on the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. The economic sanctions against Iraq were not providing the US with the desired degree of assurance that Iraq was not building weapons of mass destruction. And the sanctions were not bringing about regime change, even though several of the goals as specified by the UN had been accomplished. So here we can see a huge economy driving or putting pressure or influencing multilateral organization. So that then has it brings with it the policy relevance through cost-benefit analysis by the US as to alternate causes of action such as war. I may not play them good, not to bring me after the end of the activity, like the war, we will put sanctions. So the sanctions have to be driven. So have to be driven by the let's say the proponents. And the proponents, as usual, must have the economic and the political power to do it. And the political power is they influence the UN, and the economic power is to continue putting funding assistance into where this can be achieved. And we all know that there are questions against this. But when you look at the from a foreign policy angle, and foreign policy, the US is all funding. Government will fund him, will drive him this agenda. Now, when we bring it to other examples from other countries on economic statecraft, would be a clear one. Another clear one would be the Chinese foreign investment through its Belt and Road Initiative. You know, you sign an agreement of BRI, then or something become. And like I mentioned last week, if they want to give sticks, then they will. There are other opportunities to do that through applying for a bidding for ADB projects and winning them. So if it's not through government to government angles through the Belt and Road Initiative, you'll see a lot of Chinese companies have continued to win ADB projects to again do constructions or something. Or you have to look at the leveraging of sanctions against Russia in response to the invasion of Ukraine as latest. Or you look at the beginnings of the WTO and the Bretton Woods institutional architecture straight after World War II. So you look at over the winners, you go Staplo Bretton Woods, now all structuring economic architecture blo well. So beneficiaries by all winners na online lo game stick or carrots will also be those who lost, but be influenced along a pathway which the winners have structured. And then we all know about the buying and selling of commodities and making investments, selling products, building factories, purchasing assets, and employing workers, like we mentioned about the labor mobility. Those are carrots. And some of the carrots can also cover foreign aid, trade, and policies governing the international flow of capital. And this is where the big major corporations from major economies come in, the ones who have a big banking expertise or banking finance resources, banking resources to influence their host countries' foreign policy directives. And that's where you have the private companies coming in to drive agendas. It's very easy. Let me rephrase. It's not very easy, but it's very clear to see how private companies drive foreign policy agendas, and that can be to look at the distributors of medicine in Papua New Guinea. So whoever has the monopoly of distributing those medicine has direct link with the suppliers. Now, because they have the monopoly, they can put in obstacles or what just to make more money because they're private companies and they need to make profit. Those will be some of the examples we can put. Now, in terms of APEC, APEC is a different kettle of fish in terms of APEC 2018. Because APEC 2018 was hosted by Papua New Guinea, which means that it was, when you look at it, APEC was a PNG foreign policy engagement with the region, especially with the other 20 member economies of the APEC organization. There were a handful of economies who supported PNG's host. You had Australia, the US, China, New Zealand, Malaysia, Chinese Taipei, Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, and a couple of others. But these were done on a mutual beneficial basis. This wasn't a case of carrots and sticks. You could say that a case of a carrot would be the electrification project done on the margins of APEC by the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. But how far the carrot has gone or the carrot has now converted into a stick depends on how far the progress level of that project has gone forward right up to now. 5 years late or what, 8 years later or something, 5 years, 7 years, 7 years later, and whether the PNG power has gone in leaps and has advanced in leaps and bounds, or we can only see from reports, outcome reports. Most of the other economies, while they gave the support for Papua New Guinea's host, did not provide assistance in terms of technical expertise or investments. And all those investments were done on a reciprocal basis. It was not done to cover a foreign policy a foreign policy. It was not foreign policy that focused by those donor economies. For instance, the Chinese government gave the assurance of President Xi Jinping's attendance in 2015, 3 years before 2015 or 2014, but more than 3 years before all the leaders confirmed. Most of the all the leaders usually confirm 6 to 3 months before any leaders meeting happens. 6 to 3 months before any leaders meeting happens, the economists confirm that their leader will be attending, or the leader will not attend, but will be represented by a proxy. Okay, so those were done. Now, in terms of geopolitical configuration in the APEC system, this will always happen with China and Chinese Taipei. In APEC, they call Taiwan Chinese Taipei. So the Chinese APEC member will always inform the host not to accord higher protocol recognition to Chinese Taipei representatives. So it's really up to the host now, how the host can manage that. Now, in terms of Chinese Taipei's participation in APEC leaders meeting, as part of APEC's rules, a formal invitation letter is always sent to the Chinese Taipei president. And traditionally, he or she will pass it down to a proxy to attend. Same goes for the foreign minister. The foreign minister doesn't attend, but the minister responsible for economic development attends. Same for trade and for foreign affairs. No, I can't truthfully say that there are no carrots and sticks. There could be hints of economic statecraft, but there are no visual evidences that economic statecraft was utilized in PNG's hosting of APEC, because PNG, what Papua New Guinea did was it only sought support for particular economies to support PNG's undertaking to host. There was no other stuff involved, because everything was to be made, all the infrastructure was to be done in Papua New Guinea and all that. In terms of policy support, Australia, Japan, New Zealand provided policy support. So it was a one-way thing. You know, there was no other undertakings in response of that you give us this, we will give you that. No, there was. It was just as part of the APEC configuration. This is our assistance to your host. No, we will provide 26 spaces at the University of Queensland, 26 to learn international relations, and 26 spaces at the University of Adelaide to do graduate diploma in trade. So that was Australia's major assistance, apart from its security and logistics support. Those were the assistance it gave. But then passing, so online helping me, we know that we must reciprocate. So when the time comes, you will be reminded. You will be reminded when you look at the ministerial statement. So when foreign officials read their statement, you will know that they will make reference to the time we mean Boom One Term, and we had this support of that. So that's a reminder that during the time we supported, so now you need to provide this support this way. So that's the some of the brief examples I can give. But Mr. Aguirre, thank you for that short space. I'll hand the virtual mic back to you to continue the Q&A sessions.
Thank you, Mr. Ako. We appreciate your input and your continuous support in helping us learn more about PNG's foreign policy. We now open the floor for questions and comments. We'll start off with the first person on our list. Let me just confirm the first person. Yes, we have Philip. Philip, Mr. Karolaka. Please, Philip, go ahead.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Ako and Mr. Yegira. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I have one comment and one question. My comment is regarding Mr. Ako's presentation on academics versus practitioners. So, my comment is regarding the employment and how students like us can get more engaged in practical work experience out in the field. So today, like we have problems like employment in the country, and then we have other students graduating and already been graduated. I mean, already graduated, and they're out there searching for job, and some of them are working in other sectors like business and banking and all that. So why not the government have a specific initiative for students like us to go out there, like a specific road out to the field where we can work in like our interest. So like we have today's like we have example, we have like doctors and engineers, like they have the specific work to do out there. So when they graduate, they go out and they do that specific job that they are trained for or they go to school for. So yeah, just to make a comment on that. And my question is directed to Mr. Ako and Mr. Yeager. Um, in your opinion and your as an academic and as a practitioner, today how many academics and practitioners do we have? Do we have more practitioners than academics, or do we have more academics than practitioners? Thank you.
Maybe I'll go first. In terms of numbers, you'll have many practitioners, I think, because the whole any government department officer who goes out on an international engagement automatically becomes a practitioner. That's how I see it, because you are going out to advance Papua New Guinea's interests abroad. Our research in troops or the academic troops, all know plenty from the way I see it, simply because they have the different streams. Some will be in science, some in social science and Indo-social science, but you break them up into international relations, so all the other. Mr. Gura will explain that properly, but that's how I see it. So I guess the onus is on the departmental, the onus is on the bureaucracy to bring in the resources together and drive it in the direction you think will actually Papua New Guinea's interest. That's how we'll do it. And in terms to your comment, I totally agree. And I think that's the intent to comment in terms on the employment space. I think that's the reason why most of the big companies now have graduate programs. For the public service, I think we need more programs in there. Yes, we have the IPA, the Institute of Public Administration, or it's called the not PILAG, SILAG, I think, the Somar Institute of Public, yeah. So that that would be one of the avenues to do that, and mostly it's I think their major job is to not the initiate is the wrong word, but to provide orientation for the incoming new public servants. But I hear you. I think if I am wrong, Philip, you meant that to have a middle ground to get experience before you go into employment. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, yes. Mr. Aku, yes.
So when you look at the Australian system, if you go into when you have time, you go into www.training.org.au. That is the Australian TAFE system, and you will see tons of training programs, and most of those Certificate 1 and Certificate 2 are based on pre-employment. So they will get practicing us to bring in their practicals to provide capacity building to the newly graduate high school student or university student to learn how to answer phones, to know what channel to take when dealing with suppliers. So when they are issued with certificate 1 and 2, they are now seen as they've gone through the practicals. So then time will apply. And all go, yeah, because there's no need for the organization to train them. They've done simulated training role plays already. So that is something we should be encouraging. Mr. Aguirre, maybe from an academic point of view regarding Philip's question.
Philip, just repeat the question. I was busy trying to add your tally and list all those who are going to ask questions and comments, and I didn't get your question. Please, can you repeat?
My question is today do we have more practitioners than academics, or yeah, otherwise, yeah, like that, or we have more academics than practitioners?
Yeah, that's a good question. This morning we had a discussion about that during the consultation period, and I list down 5, but actually it's 6. So if you look at PNG foreign policy or international relations academia, uh, we have not published a lot. We are still struggling, and like I identified in one of my blog articles, it's because of peer mentoring and having a system in place to mentor new academics entering the world of the academia. And for example, when I came, there was no one with a PhD or no one with the title of Professor of International Relations in Divanad University. In UPNG, they are privileged to have professors, Professor Alan Robinson and Professor Van Doom, who passed away. So they were professors in political science and international relations. So they provided mentorship for those who went to UPNG and those who are now teaching at UPNG. But for Dividend, there was no one to provide that mentorship or leadership, academic leadership, to introduce us to his or her network and to tell us that, okay, these are the areas where you need to do research, more research gaps. You plan research on this, research on this. Me work in this lab, finish, we look at this last time. Line, no that. So because of this, it took us time to really find our own way and then create this own system that we have, or establish a pathway for ourselves so that we can be that mentor, provide that mentorship to the next generation of IR scholars coming through, like Mr. Chris Kumi and Ms. JT Kekea. But in PNG, there's two in International Research Institute. We have Ms. Bal, Clara Bal from PNG Studies, and you have Mr. Moses Sakai. So you'll see that both of them have written. Clara written something about geopolitics lately, the NRI publication that she did. So two of them, they work under the Security and International Relations Program at the National Research Institute. And at UPNG, you have Mr. Patrick Kaiku. We did a piece on Lowy, published on Lowy on foreign policy. So Mr. Patrick Kaiku is there, our senior from UPNG, and myself here at Divided University. And then we have Mr. Ako, who's someone also who's published. He's special to our community because he's a practitioner as well. He was a practitioner and now he's coming to academia. So he's the best of both worlds. So he has beaten us by writing a book about his experience on foreign policy. So that's a really good contribution to International Relations Foreign Policy Academy in PNG. And then you have Dr. Francis Waluk Bobi. So two of us from Divine Word with our understudies, Ms. Keke and Mr. Kumi. And then you have Mr. Kaiku from UPNG and our two colleagues, Mr. Sakai and Ms. Bal from NRI, and Dr. Waluk Bobi from the security IR sector in government. So these are the scholars that, I mean, international relations people from academia who stand out. And if you do search online, you'll see our work. We've not really ventured into publishing on peer-reviewed journals, but hopefully, slowly we're getting there. Like I said, it's to do with mentorship and building, having that system in place for us to come through the system and then train us to think at the higher level and start publishing. So, Biblia Brooklyn Boost, also Biblia Sinubla Boost name, the cutting boost notes also. Hopefully, in the next 10 to 5 years' time, Mr. Ako and myself will have something in place. So, those of you coming behind us will have this system and we will quickly usher you into publishing, into establishing yourself as an academic in international relations or foreign policy. So, the practitioners world is full of a lot of practitioners, from diplomats to political leaders, people like Rebik Pato, they stand out, Ambassador Max Rai, the late Ambassador Mawe who passed away. There's a lot of
Yeah,
Dusava
Dusava,
who's currently
who's
still in
still
the
working,
government.
who's still doing it.
He's currently in Japan or something with the Prime Minister. Yeah. So you have in the practitioners world, you have a lot of practitioners, but in the academic world, these are the people who are now trying to carve their name in the system. So we're trying to create our own legacy so others will come and follow us in the future. So yeah. Previously we had Dr. Adere, but he passed away. Dr. Adere was like Mr. Ako. He was from the Foreign Service and then he came into, he was the one who started the international relations trend here at Divanwad University. Yeah, so he passed away, unfortunately. So we're just following his footsteps and trying to do what he did. If he was still around, then we would have had a mentor to really guide us. Yeah, Philip, that's, I'll stop here.
If I can add, for instance, I'm not aware of the other bigger countries, but in China, they have what they call friendship associations. So these friendship associations are made up of all their former foreign service officers, their former ambassadors, their former departmental heads. So you'll have a China Pacific Friendship Association. And when I was serving there, you would attend and you will see all the former ambassadors in Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Vanuatu, all there. Just that's their way of engaging. Then you have they have the other friendship associations with the African colleagues and all this. So, but they're they're a huge country, so they have the numbers there to do it. And then when we are talking about practitioners, then you also have all their military academies have professors or generals in brackets professor who are teaching at the military academies, and that is something which I continue to impress upon military colleagues in the policy area. You know, I said, listen, you have the Dickens Uni in Australia teaching military history at Dantrum. Why can't you organize something like that at the Egan Barracks, where you have sessional history lecturers coming up to teach foreign policy or military history? You know, when you're talking about military history, you know, you have to be passionate about military history to want to talk about it. You can start talking about if you look at the big major world wars, then you could start with World War One in 2014, 2018, 1914, 1918, 17. all the way up to World War II from 39 to 46, and then 5 years later you have the Korean War, followed by the Vietnam War a decade later. And if you bring it to the Middle East, you have the Israeli War of Independence, and then you bring it up to the 1950, you have the Yom Kippur War, and a decade later you have the Six-Day War, and it comes on, you know. So those are the things our military cadets should know. You know, you for instance, for ourselves, we shouldn't be restricting ourselves to knowing our interests, our national interests only, but we need to know the interests to our immediate neighbors, and that shouldn't stop us from looking at a possible tripartite arrangement between PNG, Australia, and Indonesia, where you have regular exercises together, you have regular bilaterals. I mean, I'm not really aware whether there is such a tripartite engagement like that in the military for security, in the security space. But you have when you have the ASEAN caucus meeting together in APEC, you see, then you have the 7 of the 20 member economies coming together to drive their organization's agenda. Then you have the ASEAN pluses all meeting in the APEC area to talk about trade. So those should be something we you know, people should know, understand and move. You know, why I keep on mentioning APEC is simply because APEC gives you the flexibility to meet. It gives the leaders of all levels any flexibility to lead, because you have senior officials meeting 4 times a year. You have a annual trade ministers meeting. You have annual foreign affairs foreign ministers meeting through the AMM, and then you have the annual leaders meeting. What better place can you go and see your counterparts? Or what better place can you go and invite your counterparts to attend? You know, for instance, when former Prime Minister O'Neill attended the APEC Russia in 2010, he, during a bilateral with Thai Prime Minister Inglak Shinawatra, he invited her to visit PNG, which she did a year later. See, that's where it happens. APEC is where it happens, between meetings. So yeah, so the whale is an oyster. There's a lot there to be utilized, which we are not doing. I don't know whether we are not doing out of ignorance, or because, like I mentioned in a first lecture on the direction minister or senior bureaucrat wants to move. Suppose I'm less aligned, then we'll move this way. Ograman follow, which is why when the foreign policy white paper is released, then that's it. That's a direction. So each and every one of us must practice how to put away our personal opinions and move for the greater good of the country. And the greater good of the country can be interpreted in your own ways until the foreign policy white paper comes into place, and that's it. That's the greater good in it. You just get it together with the MTDP4, together with the trade policy. That should make a part of your briefcase, and you go straight to the meetings. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ako. Yeah, Philip, too, just to add on, apart from mentorship, funding. We need funding to conduct research. If there's no funding to conduct academic research, then it will be difficult for us to put together projects and move around, and logistics and money for research assistants. And if we had funding, it will make everything easy. But unfortunately, the government and institutions do not have enough money to allocate money for research, in particular international relations or foreign policy research. Thank you, Philip, and thank you, Mr. Ako. Let's move on to our next person on the list. Rafaela, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ako and Mr. Yegera. Good evening to you and to everyone. So I initially had two questions to ask, but I believe my first one was similar to the one Philip asked. So I'll just move straight into my other question only. So it would be a follow-up from what Philip has asked. So so my question is in relation to this, well, in relation to what Philip stated, but my question is during bilateral agreements or when negotiating the terms of a bilateral agreement, does PNG, or do we have like an academic or a professional researcher present during the time when the negotiating process is happening? That's my question.
That should be the case. You see, what happens is that when there's a upcoming bilateral engagement, then the High Commission or the embassy here deals with our Department of Foreign Affairs to set the agenda. And based on that agenda, the department goes about calling interagency meeting, and it brings in all the departments who will add value to the negotiations under one to the meeting table. And that's where when they call you to come, when the invitation goes, and you as the Department of Health or Agriculture or Education come, you must come fully armed with that. You don't just come and sit down and harem. Huh? Then once the PNG side sits, then whoever's chairing the meeting will say, okay, team, these are the 35 issues we will be negotiating on to make up the bilateral agreement. In terms of issue one, it covers health, Department of Health. What's our interest in this? So what's your standing operating procedure when it comes to this item A, item A.1, A.2, all that, and goes with all the other departments. Many a times we've seen we've seen a lot of public servants just sitting down and nodding to what they're saying. So when we were setting up the process to draft the PNG APEC 2018 agenda, I think we did about 12, 13, 14 workshops, excuse me, between 2015 and 2017. So we did 12 to 13 domestic workshops, and we did one big workshop where we brought in all the APEC senior officials and the APEC secretary from Singapore to Manasupe House in 2016 or 2017 April, I think. 2017 April. So we brought them there and we told them, this is our idea. What do you think about it? And we went from A to Z. The economists were telling us, no, this is wrong, this is right. That might be hard to understand by these people, or this one might have some traction, but the current world climate, economic climate doesn't allow that. All those things. So the team took note of them, and then we went back to hold another 3 to 5 workshops again to determine it. Now, those were the domestic workshops. Between 2016 and 2017, this 2017 October, November, we held over 144 bilateral meetings with APEC economists on the margins of the APEC senior official meetings abroad. So like I said earlier on, there are 4 APEC senior official meetings. So when we went in for someone, we would hold Mr. Pomali would hold 20 bilaterals with the 20 member economies. So our bilaterals, like in a week, we will start our bilateral at 6 a.m. to 6:30 with one, 6:30 to 7 with the second, 7:30 to 7:30 with another one. Before 9 o'clock, we move into the meetings. Then we'll allow one bilateral during morning, and we'll allow 2 bilaterals at lunchtime, and then the remaining throughout the day. Throughout the rest of, so that's how we balanced it. So by at the end of every song, we would have met 20 times, and the reason for that was to bring our thoughts, to bring the outcomes of the domestic workshops, and ask them, hey, Russia, what do you think of this? Oh, this land by heart. or Vietnam, what do you think? Oh, we will support it, all that. So we started laying down tallies, going back, coming back after a storm, holding workshop again, saying, okay, asking about Department of Treasury. These people are having issues with Treasury on structural reform. How are we tracking with structural reform? All that. So there was a lot of networking, not networking done. No, you had a current secretary, Treasury, current Andrew Oika was part of the APEC team. Current MD for CCDA, Madam Deborah Sungi. Dr. Huarlap Momi himself was part of it, and a host of others who are now holding senior positions. They were all part of that networking. So it wasn't just something that was written, Before anything went up to PM, before cabinet info paper went up, we wrote a cabinet info paper to Chief Secretary Lupari and then on to PM. A bit over 7 or 8 consultations had happened already. And those consultations were not only part of the workshop. Workshop was where everyone came together, but outside of it, the 4 team leaders moved around their sectors. You had the current Director General for APEC Secretariat, Ms. Hera Kevo, who was head of the senior officials committee on technical cooperation. She would move around the SC members like HR, Department of Labor, Health, all that. You had Madam Jules, Madam Julie Wapo, who now heads the PM's protocol. She headed the Committee on Trade and APEC Committee on Trade and Investment. So she would move around the trade and economic trade departments. So they would find that consensus first before they all came to the workshop. So when everybody came to the workshop, we'd already cut down the 25 agenda to only 10. Because 15 prime all agree finish. So we'll just have consensus on the 15 before the next song comes. Then me and current Chief Secretary Ivan Pomali would bring it to the 20 senior officials again to let them know. When we met 3 months ago, you mentioned this, so maybe I will change it. Now, what do you think? I'm all right. But you see, the interesting part was that one economy will say I'm all right, but then time if I put him go another economy, the other one won't agree. Like when we talked about poverty alleviation, no, the developed economies like the US, we don't have poverty. While the developing economies, there are 7 developed economies in APEC and 14 developing. So you look in. The 14th talk, poverty alleviation as an agenda in 2018 is a good thing. We can go and talk about it. The developed economy, we don't have poverty, so our leader won't agree with this agenda when it comes to the leaders meeting in 2018. So we had to find a proper word. So we used the word called remote participation. That was agreed upon by the US because they have remote areas, and everybody agreed with that. And under remote participation, you could put in the economic development alleviation initiatives in place. So those type of things, and the word remote participation was not taught up by myself or my team leader. It was taught up by the desk officers, because below the team leader level, you had the team, the desk, the teams, the grunts, the actual people who got their hands and feet dirty. They were the ones who were also moving around. So like I told you, if you between last Friday and today, if you went and read Team of Teams, you would see how the picture frames out. So Ivan Pomaliu, as the APEC SOM chair, would have his own team of him, the chief secretary, and maybe the chief of staff of the prime minister and the PM. That would be one team. Now, in that circle, you put another circle just halfway through it, over it. That would be my team, the PNG APEC Secretariat team. So it will be a circle like this now. Look him. So this middle here, when you shade it, that becomes our coordinating meeting between Timblo me and the Timblo Ambassador Pomali. And then you have my 4 team leaders going after my own circle. and then together with the team leaders, the circles are continuous. So when you look at it, it's a flat process. It's not a top down. So when we say they will, guys, we have to meet because Ambassador Pomali will be meeting with the Chief Secretary at 9 o'clock tomorrow, or 9 o'clock at a particular day. So then we start putting out the meeting minutes for all these teams. So these teams are meeting at the same time. So I'll say that, okay, please get your team, start meeting at 8 o'clock. By 8:30, I want the inputs in, which we will get to Ambassador Lokarim. So by the time Ambassador goes to see the Chief Secretary, all those 4 layers or 5 layers of teams have met between 8 and 8:30. And they've funneled up all the real-time progress. And those are the real-time progress which we summarize now. Ambassador Pomali Karim Golo, Chief Secretary. It's a team of teams approach. Okay. And that was why you see we didn't have the numbers, so we had to have multiplier effects, and those were our multiplier effects, finding systems and processes which can push our agendas forward, because we didn't have the numbers and we didn't have the technology and we didn't have the money. We only had what we had to work with. When we say, when we had our bonding sessions, and that would be about once a month, I would stand everybody beside in front of the walls, all of them, and I'd say, look behind you. What do you say to boss warrior? You looking for man Mary Nogat. I mean one, you me at. So when you link your hands, then that link becomes your team. And that's the team you train with, you eat with, you hang around with daily, right up to all the meetings. So our team member, the final team member who is responsible for structural reform also has his or her contact in Department of Treasury. Look in. So when the structural reform team meets, you have our team member, the Department of Treasury member, the Department, the Bank of PNG person, or meet one time, and once they get an outcome, they pass it on up. So within 30 minutes, it's with the ambassador's office. So those are the processes which have been tried and proven. It have been tried and proven in Papua New Guinea. And I say that with utmost conviction because it has been tried and proven because Brigadier General Ted Dero tried it himself. He made sure that there were multiplier, he had multipliers involved because he had no numbers. The army was small, technology, no infrastructure limited. So I'm okay, then we will use our multiplier numbers. So what were the multiplier effect? Multiplier effect was development cooperation with all the militaries around the country. So he used those expertise special military law progress in PNGDF. And that is something which we at the PNG Foreign International Relations, the international relations advocates and practitioners should move on that. So I'll stop there and allow others to question.
Yeah, Rafaela, go ahead.
So thank you, Mr. Ako. That was a very informative answer to the question I asked. So just to the beginning of your response to my question, where you stated that that should be the case. Does that mean that is that what's happening now, or is that not happening? Where when they're negotiating the terms of a bilateral agreement, do we have that researcher or that academic present within the negotiating team or not?
I mean, that should be the case because in most times it's hardly the case. You look at the review of the foreign policy white paper this year. No academics like Mr. Aguirre himself and the others were not invited to be in that first review. We're not talking about reviewing a finished product. And something finished, you can give on over time, you can work finish. We're talking about the building up of the machine. No. So that should be the case. You bring in all your resources together. You know, you saw that picture of us all at the APEC House. That was an engagement by a government organization who was smart enough to bring everybody from from the academia, including NRI and all the others, to come in and put their thoughts together. Yes, we had debates inside, saying no, maybe we do this, but debates were happening in order to build up a document. You know, when you build up a document and then you send it out for review, it should be that document should only be sent out to people who wrote it to be reviewed again. I know that's not how I'm bringing it from an angle of how you write a book, but that's how it's supposed to be. Because if I am going to write right now, if I'm going to write a document talking about this class's attitude towards the PG4 to wait on PNG Studies International Relations, that write-up has to be given to you, all of you, draft one, to say true or Manek Yaman. Because all of us have been part of it from day one. I can't write about us and go and give it to our colleagues at UPNG to review that. No, that should be after everyone agrees that this is supposed to be it, and then you give it. So the reason why I'm saying that is because once it becomes a finished product and then you give it out to be reviewed, and then what if online to cause them Mipano agree or this because I'm wrong, and we got facts that proves that you did not research this properly, name wrong. Do you have to go through the whole process of rewriting it again, or you just disregard Lusim? I'm not talking nothing. You writing finish Lusim stuff, and then when you do that, you face the risk of in the next 5 or how much says before the midterm review, you face the risk of criticism every time that topic comes up. No, your foreign policies are all very high level documents. They talk about the high level strategic things. So it leaves the options open for the tactical level things to push in, to omit, to add in. And then below the tactical level, you have the operational stuff and the finance and all that stuff going in. But once you start looking in at high level, and what if you lock him in and all of a sudden the situation changed in the opposite direction? Now you lock him in Pinisa, so what's going to become of that pillar 2? Example, pillar 2. Let's say you have 5 pillars and then you locked in all those 5 pillars, but then all of a sudden, once it's launched, as we are going forward, pillar 2 is irrelevant now. So those are some of the things I appreciate and respect the fact that the foreign policy white paper was drafted by hundreds of years of experience, and these were drafted by our forerunners in this topic who went and did that. Okay, so that respect remains. But all we're talking about here in answer to your question is academia was not given a chance to have a look at it. Because academia would have seen it differently because maybe out of the books they made reference to, they would have known by the academy, they would have been let known by the academy that there's another 5 books here which maybe would give better ideas. Because in this week's lecture, I did say that, listen, anything to do with research, Stromelo. They are the mechanics. They know how to fix the car. They know where to go. Suppose they can know that it's a carburetor or what I mean. I don't know. When you talk about a foreign policy tool, Mr. Aguirre would know what books to. He's gone through dozens of books about that. So he will tell you which books. I wouldn't know. I have to tell you, okay, give me one day, then I'll go back and start researching. And maybe out of those 20 books which Mr. Aguirre knows, I might only find 5 because I'm lazy. I don't want to research. Or I might only find 2, which looks good to me according to my liking, which was why I said, your personal opinion must put him aside if you are driving a national agenda. Just because those 2 books talk about in the direction of my opinion, I'll disregard the others. This is it. So yeah, so in answer to your question, we have to encourage more collaboration between all resources in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Ako.
Yeah, Rafael, امتى سؤالها؟ All right, good. Thank you. We'll move on to the next person on the list. Who's next? Jeffrey, Mr. Wenny.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yegira and Mr. Ako. So as we are, I have a comment and a question. So as we are talking about foreign policy making, I want to share my point of view regarding foreign policy formulation. So, Mr. Ako, during your first lecture, you mentioned that the foreign policy that was soon to be launched anytime on September was formulated by experts. So, for my own opinion, I would suggest that before formulating a foreign policy, there should be a nationwide consultation carried out to capture the view of the people. And their view will reflect their interest, and the interest of the people will make up the interest of the country, because it is the people that made up a country. So in that way, we will see that the foreign policy is a people-centered policy, a policy that reflects the interest of the people and not the interest of a particular government. So yeah, this is my point of view regarding the foreign policy formulation. So moving on to my question. So it is a general question out of curiosity I want to ask. Mr. Ako, someone like you, a practitioner in the area of international relations, I want to ask, would it be possible if PNG decided to isolate itself from the world, do away with all the foreign relations and focus entirely on ourselves? So yeah, would it be possible if PNG decided to isolate itself from other countries?
Thank you, Mr. Wenny. Yeah, I do agree. The current foreign policy, I think they went to selected provinces. They went to New Ireland, to Sundown, to Bougainville. I'm not sure about all the provinces they went to, but according to the eminent person group, it was their opinion that, or their conviction that these were the provinces they should visit. So all visiting. Okay. Now, in terms of isolating ourselves, if you are in access of internet right now, Google Pol Pot, P-O-L, Nasene Pot, P-O-T. Pol Pot revolutionary bloc. What was the previous name of Cambodia? And that was his undertaking to isolate everything. So me played Bastard now. And it didn't turn out well for his country. Now, when we want to isolate ourselves, do we have everything within our country? So that me played stop. No, maybe in a village situation would be easy. You have garden kaikai, you don't need power, you don't need water, around water, stop using water, all that. Once we, in our current situation, our import base, our export base is not balanced with our imports. I think our imports are more in terms of manufactured products or something. Yes, MTAS or Cambodia. So when we isolate, then that puts us at a disadvantage of where we're going to get the things we need. Does that mean that but you may not have fuel now because MIPED working fuel, so MIPLA can isolate? Or in our current situation, time you may not working fuel, you may isolate where are we going to get all the fuel, local run, our generator blow, how cycle work, all those other configurations. I understand where you're coming from in terms of a foreign policy angle. But even huge countries, economies like the US or Russia, they have bilateral agreements simply because or something they need, the other countries have them. Or or some have free trade agreements simply because, according to the rules of origins, or rubber tire, or rubber the tire, yeah, can be easily done in a country like Bangladesh than in Japan. So they go and sign a trade agreement with Bangladesh, so that the rubber they buy from a third country, or ba salim golo Bangladesh, or Bangladesh ba tanim into tire, na salim go beglo Toyota lo fitimin lo carblo, in terms of cost blow product. So those are the considerations we have to give before we want to walk down that road, Jeffrey. Am I right?
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Mr. Aguirre went out for water, so I think the floor is still open. Floor is open. Anybody with any other question, just get the mic and talk. Chairman no stop it, so you
No,
should
I'm
mic
back.
your like na talk. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip. So we continue on with the next person. Philip, you are done with your question and your comment. Let's listen to Lamonai.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? All right, thank you, Mr. Yagera and Mr. Ako. So I have, based on the presentation from last week, I have 3 comments and 3 questions. And for Tuesday's, this week's presentation, I have 2 questions. So my first comment, I'll start with my comments before heading on to the questions. So my first comment is, based on the presentation, specifically commonly used sticks, the point made regulatory standards, including customs regulations and biosecurity measures, I agree that it serves as sticks that a country uses to control trade flows and protect local industries. However, I think PNG should aim to balance these regulations so that it can facilitate trade while ensuring safety. So an example can be taken from PNG Department of Agriculture and Livestock 2020, that in that year, 2020, PNG stringent biosecurity measures on imported agricultural products led to trade disruptions, highlighting the need for clear regulations. Because even though the measures are in place to prevent invasive species and diseases that could harm our livestock and local produce, it may create tensions due to delays with trading partners, particularly Australia or our other close partnering countries, that it may reduce trade volumes and cause strained diplomatic relations. So that's my first question. Moving on to my second, comment. Moving on to my second comment, PNG's challenges in fully utilizing APEC's potential highlight the need for stronger internal mechanisms and capacities. Addressing this gap should be prioritized to improve PNG's economic position in the Asia-Pacific region. An example, according to VU 2016, is that Vietnam, who has demonstrated significant progress in utilizing its APEC membership by streamlining trade regulations and enhancing its export capabilities, leading to a robust economic growth. And to my third comment, when speaking about the impact of external influences, the influence of countries like US on PNG's security agenda can be a double-edged sword, meaning to have positive and negative effects. It would be beneficial to explore how PNG can assert its independence while still engaging beneficially with these powers. So an example, according to Krapol and Hill 2016, they stated that countries like Brazil have navigated their relationships with superpowers while maintaining an independent foreign policy, particularly in trade negotiations with countries like China and the US. So moving on to my questions, my first question is to Mr. Ako. So in your opinion, making comparisons from past to present with the introduction of artificial intelligence, how has it changed the way countries use economic carrots and sticks? I'll let you answer that and then I'll continue on after that with my other questions. Thank you.
That's a very hard question to answer because you using artificial intelligence to do that, and it will go into covering in addition to trade, it goes into security as well. I mean, you look at the current war. Oh well, yeah, the Russia-Ukraine war. It's like a video game. It's all fought out on drones, and we all know that drones are more AI, artificial intelligence will work now. So how do we, when you look at that military power, the military powers involved in that engagement, and then you compare it with our capability as a country, that should give us a different light of it. So when it comes to the trade-wise, it's also the same thing. You look at the turnaround times for containers load developed for some of the developing economies. Only small crane, and the cranes are remotely controlled to quickly. But then again, they have customs procedures which are streamlined to cover that. So when we have these examples in place, and we continue to see some of our systems which are still being done manually, then we know the challenges in front of us. So Lamon, is that okay? You can continue on with your next question.
Yes, thank you. So to the second question, how can PNG ensure that the benefits gained from this carrot strategies are sustainable in the long term?
That's also another interesting question. I say that because carrots, on this issue, we must continue to remind ourselves that it's the person who's giving us the carrot is giving us to advance his foreign policy interest. Okay, so when it's seen that way, then how that carrot is being eaten up by the recipient is the biggest thing, A donor might say that $10 million or US dollars emblo health, lo support him health sector. But emblo training mo orderly siya. So how can you train him on orderly time? You mean him late post na infrastructure. So that part blow panim infrastructure lo build him on late post or housing, and boy me go deal go ask him or not la down again lo whether all got some la carrot lo give him lo build him this or something. Huh? So or you look at some of the people who continue to give us carrots, and they are all in support of the LGBTQ. All the same gender, whatever it is, also okay. So how do you balance that when we are Papua is traditionally known to respect their interests but not accept it? And Mipel Hanobara, Hanobara, we are known for being the forerunners of some of Papuanese gay community. We have a strong gay. Something like him. We have a strong gay community in our village, but We respect them, but we don't support it because it goes against our Christian principles. Knowing where and I say goes against our Christian principles simply because Hanobara is where the first LMS missionaries arrived. Look him. Maybe if we were another village empowered, but Hanobara is where the first LMS missionaries arrived, and that which later became the United Church of Papua New Guinea. So when you balance that, then it has a lot of soul searching to do when it comes to bilateral relations. Maybe the changeover of the U.S. presidency supported those thoughts. Rosenborg color flags, now put him real flag. So that was another example of our advantage. So now sustaining it is another thing. Most of the arrangements have undertakings of counterpart funding. You put him 30, but we put him 70. Now, what happens if we can't meet up the 30? So, lang ba put him 17, kan 17, lo buy mo marasin, but housing, lo build him housing, you play it. So, how are we supposed to deal with that? Do we have to go and renegotiate that 30 lo including the 70? So then it automatically becomes 100% own one. And once we do that, we do realize that carrot now. We don't want it to turn into stick. And in most times, plan to something else that turn into sticks after a continuous 100% assistance. Then, but okay, you might find your ambassador at the UN being pressured by the carrot farmer that listen, me pla okay more so you're gonna support in this vote. That could happen. So those are some of the things. So you look at the training, our training aspects of our training aspects in our current situation, training in terms of everything. We have universities. Below that, we have TVET training schools and the vocational training school. And how many? If this is a question to myself and to every one of you, how many in your communities the Igatompa Vocational Center or Training Center which online set him up? Not any government, but which were set up, training centers. So these training centers will be below the vocational level, the way I see it. Most time we will answer that no God. So then how then do we expect to sustain that 70% health aid there? Sustain him go all the way down to the community. And funding is an issue. Funding is a big issue in our system. The public service main priority and salaries below public servants. Suppose you got makmak lo, staff lo, or budget team lo, something. If it's there, or working. Suppose no got, then no got. So that's the reality of our system. I think it happens everywhere. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Mr. Ako. Since I have reached my maximum number of questions, then I'll stop here and let the others continue. Thank you.
You can email me the other questions.
Yeah, you
And
can
then-
email me that.
and then when I answer them, please share them. I'm not going to keep him to you yet.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next person, Jerome. Thank you, Lamanai.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have two comments, two questions, and a comment. Let me begin with my first comment. Last week, on our foreign policy, Mr. Ako has mentioned something on middle ground where the practitioners and the academics come together and bring their, especially the academics, they bring their theoretical expertise, and practitioners, they provide practical insights, which I think that this is a good initiative where the collaboration is key to informed foreign policy decisions. So when academics and practitioners, they come together, they bring their expertise and they make informed foreign policy decisions. So that is my comment regarding the middle ground. Moving on to my first question. My first question reads, what are the primary roles of academics and practitioners in saving PNG's? What are some challenges faced by academics?
Okay, Jerome, if I heard correctly, you're talking about the challenges faced by academics in advancing PNG's international relations agenda.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. The main challenge will be not going to a briefing and then leaving to attend that meeting, and then attending arriving at that meeting and then go total like blue and come back and based on your academic experience. The first thing we should all do is when an invite comes for you to represent Papua New Guinea at this particular thing, go back to the department that is sending the invite. And okay, so one time by me come briefing. Always seek that in writing so that you go if it's a health conference or an agriculture conference or an education conference, go back to those departments and okay, I'm gonna my PhD or my research is based on cow. So I'm attending that, and I did this on this particular 10 types of yellow cow. But this agenda is different. It talks about cow in a different sense. So what do you want me to talk about? What okay? Say maybe you go. Right now, our Department of Agriculture is moving in this direction. So maybe you direct your presentations on this. So that presentation will be guided by the public servant, that is by the departmental officer or officers that are accompanying you to that engagement. Okay, so that's how, in a normal sense, that's how it's supposed to be done. No, when you are invited to when an academic is invited to attend an engagement, you must always liaise one time with department. So when we used to during the APEC engagement, and we had Dr. Billy Manoka or Dr. Professor Matai Naho or Dr. Ruth Turi and all the others, they always said, we always had one or two briefings before the engagements, and they showed us, they presented to us, Mr. Pomali, this is what I'm going to be talking about. So Mipla got agree na, and Mipla set him talk, and then he or she goes to the APEC working group or the APEC committee and presents on behalf of Papua New Guinea. So that's supposed to be the way. So that when the queries come back, or when there are interests shown by the other economists in the room to follow, to pursue a direction in our presentation, Ogaraman sabi, so the department goes into progress mode now to follow that up. This is not only for the academia, even for the officers too. Suppose you know holim interagency meeting na you would take off go natin na time will follow through cambian. All boss no sabi. You know, all boss patokay, hold on. This guy mitla po him round blame, but I'm organize him meeting brief or something with Interlocution, and he comes up with this. You know, it's very it can be very serious. You know, if you go and commit the government into something which which cabinet or even your minister or your secretary doesn't know, then it becomes a very serious issue.
Thank you, Mr. Ako. Just one one thing that bothers me when I travel from Aken all the way to Kasam, I see that the Chinese are replacing the whole bridges with new ones, and they are taking an initiative to build a power which is a gas power. So is that part of the Belt and Road Initiative, or is the benefit from the effect that was held in 2018?
PNG signed on to the Belt and Road Initiative before APEC 2018. I'm not really sure when and year we did sign on, but I think 2015 or 20, I'm not really, I need to confirm that. But that is part of China's investment into the country. One of the important things realistically, which we should all know and appreciate, is that what Poroman Blumi Blursoline, you name him all, they will go to places where all natural donors on go. You know, you go, I mean, you talk on your drive from your village to the township or from the township into the village, you look him Stuart all stuff, yeah? And all those shops, they would have negotiated with the actual landowners there to set him up. So, so China wasn't part of the rural electrification project. It was Japan, US, New Zealand, Australia. So progress to this land, no sabe, but all they are state-owned enterprises are the companies that drive the brie at most times. So I'll answer it that way.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, True Jero. Thank you, Mr. Ako. We'll move on to our next person on the list. That's Kaylin. Kaylin, please go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? Sorry about the delay. So I have three questions. The first is regarding Mr. Ako's presentation on Tuesday. The first one is, what are some qualities that a foreign policy professional in PNG must possess apart from open-mindedness and research skills? And the second question is, why is it important for practitioners to collaborate with academics when preparing for multilateral forums like APEC? I'll let you answer these two questions first, and then I'll go on to asking my third question. Thank you.
Okay, please repeat the first one again.
What are some qualities that a foreign policy professional in PNG must possess?
A vast knowledge of the country would be my first bet. You know all parts of your country, or you know people who know when once you are in a foreign land and they ask you where Wewek is, you can actually say Wewek is up in the north. It is one of the provinces called the Pacific Province, and it is also where the Japanese surrendered during World War II. How many of you know about WOM, where the Japanese surrendered during World War II? No, gata. Well, know that. So once you start talking about that, you come up with lots of topics of discussion. So a foreign service officer must know everything about his or her country. Just like what I told you about my experience about this government minister correcting me about the total square kilometer of Papua New Guinea. May not be sabe. So, you know, throughout the years, I started the schooling myself in making sure that I maintain those things. So personally, that's how I would move it. And research and reading and watching news and even movies or whatever, that should be part and parcel of that shouldn't be included in any requirements, and part and parcel of you know. Because with all that, then you can confidently walk into a diplomatic reception and meet the first person and, hello, my name is Lahu, I'm from Papua New Guinea, and sorry, say, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Peru. Oh, okay. Then Peru has a very strong team in soccer. Huh? And you start talking about some of the soccer players and all that. So look at, you need to have a wide range of knowledge. And you would talk to people like Mr. Mexray, Ambassador Mexray, and Mr. Raka Itana, and all those people whom mentored me. In the office, they always had a small transistor radio. No time the transistor radio. All baga dili radio na also onim na harim news or well events, and that's how they kept abreast to everything that was happening around them. And I tried very hard to listen to radio, but Mr. Hade. And then the internet age came in, and we got a lot of information from the internet. And when I was on post, Mrs. Ako developed the habit of watching CNN. So then you see, time you finish the work, okay, you story. We look on Sandilo CNN, then number story. So she knew all the Hala Goranis by name, all the CNN reporters. She could call their names, because she watched those evidence. She would tell us about well events and all that. So when you go on post, you become a team with your partner. So the next question.
Thank you. Now, my third question is regarding a presentation on Friday. So we have been talking about carrots and sticks since last week, and this is just out of curiosity. So why was the analogy termed carrots and sticks?
Where did this analogy of carrot and sticks came up?
Yeah, like why was it named carrots and sticks? It could be them. It could have been like.
It could have been other things. It's a very good question, but when you were this, I left to us some people about this, but in the economic statecraft discussions, carrots and sticks are used. My mistake, I did not find out where those analogies came out from. That will be my homework.
All right, that is all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kellen. Yeah, it's also used in international relations as well. So it's a good homework for Mr. Ako. He'll go and do some homework and come back and tell you. We'll move on to the next person.
That's what, sorry, Mr. Ego, that's what Miyoklo talk, eh? There's a difference between the academy and the practitioner. Practitioner go look him carrot and stick, and rouse himself and start talk. While the academia went and found out why it came from and how it came to be there.
The history. Okay, Fritzlin, please go ahead. Thank you, Kaylin.
Good evening, Mr. Lawin.
Sorry, Fritzlin, I accidentally click the mute button for you. Can you unmute?
Okay. My first question is in relation to the first topic, which is defining the concept of international relations. Question number one, what are some components of foreign policy? And number two is, I know we focused on economic statecraft, but apart from economy as a tool or instrument of foreign policy, what are some other instruments or tools? I'll let you answer the first two questions regarding the first topic.
Some components of foreign policy. Oh, wow. That's, you caught me by surprise there. in terms of components. Mr. Aguirre, could you help me in this? Components of foreign policy?
Could you be a bit more specific? Components in terms of breaking up the definition and then looking at the different components and what makes up the definition of foreign policy, or you mean the tools or how foreign policy is implemented?
Like in making in the process of doing foreign policy, what are some things to consider, like national interest and apart from if I'm clear.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Ako, I think that's more clear.
Yeah, requirements. Yes, we had that answer from one of the earlier gentlemen regarding the national interest. So when we are doing foreign policy, we have to firstly okay, what's our interest? What's our national interest? When we want to do up a foreign policy now. So what's our national interest? So our national interest has been put up by our fathers. By 2050 we have to be a healthy, wealthy nation. And then Prime Minister Marpes added on by saying that we have to be the richest, blackest nation. So those will be the markers which will help us go about working towards writing a foreign policy. So based on those markers now, then it will give us the retirement, the research targets. Where should we research? What should we research? What information should we get to come up with those targets? Others might, other foreign policy experts might come up with everything they have there and then later come up with a theme or what to do. But then for us, it has been made very, very easy by our forefathers who come up with the 2050 agenda undertaking. And we have the PNG DSP 2010, 2030, and then followed by the five-yearly MTDPs. So those should act as our markers or the foundations upon which we should write a plan to deal internationally. So with to go further with the upcoming foreign policy white paper in September, then we would use our markers to balance it under the pillars. To balance it under the pillars now. So how much the pillar is the new foreign policy by Karim Kame? Then those unpack the SPAs and then start directing them under the pillars. Okay, so our job has been made this year. The only challenge we will have is funding constraints to implement the activities which the bureaucracy will come up with in implementing the foreign policy. Okay. Now, could you repeat your second question? The instruments.
Yes, apart from economic statecraft.
I think that apart from economic statecraft, Mr. Aguirre, there is political statecraft. There's only, I think, two plus statecraft as well, economic and political. I'm not sure whether there are the political statecraft. We know where that's straight political. Am I right?
Yes. Just a comment on the first question. First presentation on foreign policy. So we know that decision-making institutions also have a play in there. So I just like to comment that one of our seniors who graduated, she conducted a research along the line of factors slowing the immediate formulation of PNG's foreign policy, and DFA officers were participants, the main participants. And one of her findings, she found that administrative and bureaucratic challenges was mentioned by the officers. They said that management focus within the department itself from different division is different divisions within DFA is a challenge. So I'd just like to comment that I think it is important that DFA fix its internal affairs as it affects interactions with foreign partners and also communicating agreements with internal departments to actually implement. That's my comment. So to the second presentation on academic versus practitioners, my first question is, either of you can answer. It's on your slide on bridging the gap between academic and practitioner. It is policy-related research. My question is, how can academics conduct research that is more directly useful to policymakers?
Thank you for it. So your question is, how can academics research topics that are more, sorry, could you repeat that?
How can academics conduct research that is more directly useful to policymakers?
Mr. Aguirre, you would have done a number of those researches for policymakers. Could you help in this instance?
If we talk in terms of international relations and foreign policy, it will again go back to our foreign policy white paper. Because if you look at the LOE and ANU and other institutions that do research for the Australian defense, the research is all the research projects and the research programs that they run, it's all connected to the foreign policy white paper. So whatever knowledge that they generate, they create this knowledge for the policymakers, those in Canberra. And it's relevant to them because it's part of the foreign policy white paper. But for PNG, for our case, we just have like issues like APEC or ASEAN, the religious Israeli issue, our setting up embassy in Israel, but it's all ad hoc. It's not connected to a major foreign policy white paper framework where we can budget, put money for research, and money for programs and all that. So the research is of relevance to the policymakers or the bureaucrats and political leaders. So for us, it's a bit difficult to determine which areas are really important because we don't have a foreign policy framework to start off with, like other advanced countries or other countries who are more organized than PNG.
Thank you. Again, comment regarding from learning from the presentation and all that, I see that there are more practitioners than academics. It feels like most IR graduates or political science graduates in general lean towards diplomacy or policy roles, but not many pursue academic research or teaching. Is academia in IR a shrinking path or just a hidden one? I believe it's a shrinking path, but it would be nice to get our view from Mr. Aguirre. My question, it's related to career pathway in academics. What practical steps would you recommend for someone who's genuinely interested in building a career in the academic field of IR?
That's a good question. The difficulty now is having in place a system for recruiting those with potential and those who are interested and then training them on the job or get them to, for example, like in UPNG, they have a pathway where you do 4 years as undergraduate, you get your bachelor's degree in political science. And then if you're interested in becoming an academic, you apply for the honors program. So after you graduate from the honors program, now you have the choice of being a part-time tutor or you go look for a job elsewhere. So for me, I decided to be a part-time tutor and I joined the UPNG teaching team or academic team at the political science strand. And then I in the first year, I applied. I saw the opportunity to apply for a Chinese scholarship, and I did in 2009. If I had stayed on and then completed my part-time, then I would have become a full-time tutor and then eventually go through the system and I get my master's and progress up to lecturer, PhD and all that. So the big challenge now is to recreate something similar right across the whole higher education system for not only international relations, but all other things, anthropology and sociology, and development studies, policy studies. If we have something like this in place, then it will be easy for us to determine, okay, you need these people who are really good at analyzing, understanding things, people who love reading and researching and who have really good research skills. These are the people that you'll identify and then put them into the system for them to go through the training and become the next generation of academics in order to continue to grow the field, add more knowledge to the field, theorize the practices that are happening in the country. So yeah, this type of system is a challenge for other universities to replicate what UPNG has, Divine Word, EOG. I think Unitech now they have a really good system for mentoring and building up the next generation of academics. But for us now, we need to start something like this. That's why we conducted the survey. The survey that Mr. Ako and we sent and all of you participated. That's part of building that process, the mentoring process and building the next generation of scholars. So that's the approach that we are taking right now.
Thank you. So another comment, I'm really glad that we're exploring the practitioner side of IR today. I mean, indigenous. Having done, and I was fortunate enough to have done an internship at the Department of Foreign Affairs back in 2024. And I can say that it was an eye-opening experience, even with my academic background or lack of, because we only learned the basics. There were things I only started to grasp by seeing them in practice. So what Mr. Ako said about engaging students with practitioners is, I think it's a good idea. It's just so important to get both perspective, and I'm really glad we're doing that in this unit. My other question is with regard to PNG's foreign policy landscape in the context of Papua New Guinea's friends to all and enemies to none foreign policy principles, since we don't know the new one yet. How do practitioners balance immediate economic and security needs with the long-term strategic analysis provided by academic experts on regional power shifts, for example, between traditional partners like Australia and emerging partners like China? Because if I understood properly from the presentation, it looks like in handling us internationally, practitioners take a reactive action, looking at immediate needs and balancing act, while from academics, it's more long-term strategic analysis, sort of power shifts perspective.
I'll go first on this. You look at what the ANU is doing with UPNG and the Professor House and his team driving Australia's interest through academia. I think that should provide a fine example of the academia and the practitioner, because what the good thing with the economic strength is doing at the UPNG is it's getting research skills. It's promoting research skills in those who are doing their master's either in country or at the ANU. So it's building up the next level of academics to go into heavy research in engagements. And I think that is what Mr. Aguirre has been hinting at all along over the last number of semesters and going forward. That's something we should look at. But in Papua New Guinea, we are restricted by funding.
Mhm.
You know, we need government to fund research into everything, and anything that can make our country take the leap forward and balance that. So, Mr. Aguirre, your thoughts on this?
Sorry, Fritz, I was busy writing all these things, and I just summarize and give me the main point of the main
Sorry.
question, the main point you want to know.
How do practitioners balance? It's more directed to Mr. Ako here. How do practitioners balance immediate economic and security needs with a long-term strategic analysis provided by academic experts on regional power shifts?
Yeah, I think Mr. Akos answered
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, to my last comment, you know, the world's problems are just getting more complicated these days. Things like climate change, pandemic, cyber attacks, and even global crime. No single group can fix this on their own. It's not people doing foreign policy, and it's not the people studying it from afar. The recent lecture has taught me that we need both sides talking to each other, and we need the ideas and expertise to mix, because that's the only way we're going to tackle these big challenges effectively. Now to my last question. PNG faces its own special challenges in foreign policy, like Mr. Ako mentioned, resources and manpower as well. Or when things happening inside our country really affect how we deal with other countries. So my question is, how can we get our foreign policy officials and our local university experts to talk and work together better? What ways are there now, or what new ways could we create to help them share ideas and help PNG's foreign policy?
I think a quick answer to that will be through regular seminars. Regular seminars, just like what the ANU is doing at the UPNG. They have quarterly seminars on public policy and those type of engagements. We should do that, but we should do it from strictly from a PNG organized angle, not through the support of our development partners. That's so that we can show them that we've come of age, we can stand on our own feet, and this is how we're doing it. All we need for you to do is to provide us funding assistance to support this with no carrots and sticks. Just throw me the plus one, we'll go about doing that, which is going to be hard, but that's so we know that's the situation now. So how do we go about, you know, balancing it out? So that's a question I'll leave also in answering your question.
Thank you. That's all.
All right, so we're running out of time. We'll stop here. Thank you, everyone, for participating. For those of you on the list and who did not have the opportunity to ask a question, we'll move your session to next week after Mr. Ako present his presentation on the topic foreign policy and independence. That will give you the first few minutes to ask your questions and make your comments. But that will be added to your week 5 and your week 6 tally. Your tally for these 2 weeks will be shared with you this afternoon. You can go through, and if you have any issues, let me know. But we thank Mr. Ako for his time, and thank all of you for attending. And I hope you took notes of our discussion. And links to the videos will be shared as well. The recordings are available on Mr. Ako's YouTube channel. Please go and view and download and share the link with your friends from the junior levels. Huh? Okay, yep, that's all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time, and you all have a great afternoon. We'll see you again next week.
Everyone. continue to school good. Forget study hard. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ako, for your encouragement. All of you have a good afternoon.